Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. In this episode, I take a quick solo hike along the Agua Caliente Creek Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail near Warner Springs, California. My infatuation with hiking began when I was only a teenager. I always loved spending time with my father in the outdoors, and somehow whenever I was in the forest or out along the trail, I felt a sense of calm and connection that I just simply couldn't explain. While my dad wasn't exactly the pillar of excitement, he did instill the love of the outdoors with me that I still carry with me today. Although I have never attempted to thru hike the P.C.T, I have hiked quite a few sections of it over the years, including some absolutely stunning segments that also share the route with the John Muir Trail, and I've also explored some local sections near me that are just amazing. Okay, enough about the P.C.T, let's go do it. Well, at least part of it. In this episode, I'll be taking a short solo hike along the P.C.T from Warner Springs to the second crossing of the Agua Caliente Creek to take in some magnificent scenery and to talk to some of the thru hikers on the P.C.T just passing through. For me, an easy round trip of about 7 miles. Agua Caliente Creek is one of only 4 places in San Diego County where the P.C.T dips fairly close to a dependable stream, and the only place in the county where the trail closely follows running water for a fair distance. And that's according to Southern California hiking legend and author Jerry Shadd. The P.C.T crosses Highway 79 about 50 miles from my house in Temecula, just outside of Warner Springs. There's a wide dirt and gravel shoulder on the right, perfect for parking my Jeep for the day. The trail starts just across the street, up a short section of dirt road posted no trespassing. It's okay though, it's a hiker easement. Just stay on the trail for a short distance until you see the P.C.T trail sign and you'll be fine. When you get to the sign, hang a left and you'll be on your way. And if you do it in the month of April like I did, you'll be joining the conga line of hikers heading northbound from Mexico all the way to Canada. Well, good morning. Today I'm near Warner Springs, California, and I'm going to be hiking a little short section of the Pacific Crest Trail. Highway 79 is right in front of me here, and this is where it crosses over from Warner Springs and heads down along the Agua Caliente Creek Trail, which is also the Pacific Crest Trail, as it works its way over toward Lost Valley and Combs Peak, where I was in the last episode. So in today's episode, I'm going to pick up my adventure right here off the highway, and I'm going to hike about 5 miles in along the Agua Caliente Creek Trail. Just explore some of the creek bed, see if we see anything exciting today. I heard there's a couple of good campsites about 3 miles in, and since it's spring and it's just an absolutely gorgeous day, maybe we'll get lucky, we'll see a rattlesnake today. I saw several posts that they're out and about right now. Some people have posted some pretty good pictures of rattlesnakes and rosy boas that they're awake and alert now after their winter hibernation, and they're out here on the trail and they're moving around in the sunshine while it's nice and warm. So anyway, I'm going to take advantage of this nice warm day, and I'm going to head up northbound on the Pacific Crest Trail to the Agua Caliente Trail. Stick around and join me as I hike up the P.C.T. You know, I just hiked, 50 yards down the trail, and I already came across this sign. Lost Valley BSA Road 14. So I'm assuming that's the Lost Valley Road where they had that Boy Scout Trail Angel water cache. I'm assuming that's where that is, 14 miles. And the Riverside County line is 20. So anyway, it's just a stunning day up here. Birds and squirrels and all kinds of things running around here in the brush. And I've already seen a bunch of quail take off as I hike down the trail. It's going to be nice today. There was only one car at the trailhead when I got here, and shortly after I came over across the trail, I stopped down here under the bridge to take some pictures, and another car pulled up, and 2 people have since gone ahead of me here up the P.C.T. And actually, I hear some more people coming from under the bridge heading my direction. They're probably P.C.T thru hikers heading up this direction. So it looks like it's going to be a busy day today. You know, I've only been hiking for a few minutes, and those people that were coming from under the bridge, one of them was a P.C.T thru hiker, followed by his 2 buddies who were just joining him on a day hike for this short section. It's always good to get some company when you're heading this whole length of the trail. But looks like things are kind of starting to get in bloom a little bit. I haven't seen a whole lot of wildflowers, but the hike is early. We'll see. It'll be nice when we eventually get away from the highway. It's gorgeous here, though. Well, there's some magnificent old oak trees down here. Birds are going crazy this morning. A lot of hikers too already. A guy just passed me doing the whole P.C.T. Sounded like he was from Scotland. We talked a little bit about my kilt today. And there's another one coming up behind me. It's gonna be a busy trail today. Well, I just ran into another P.C.T. through hiker. It was coming through, and I was, kind of curious why there's so many hikers this morning. But there's another guy that's coming down the trail right behind me, and this is probably the 8th, 9th person I've seen in 15 minutes coming up the P.C.T. At least he explained why the congestion right here along the P.C.T. And that's because they were all waiting for the Warner Springs post office to open, because that's where their bounce boxes were mailed to. So that explains it. They were all probably huddled around the Warner Springs Community Center. And the second that post office opened, they got their bounce box, they reloaded their supplies, and now they're hitting the trail. So it sounds like it's going to be a busy trail today, which I'm fine with. It's always interesting to talk to through hikers and find out what kind of gear they're carrying and what their destinations are and where they're from. Like the one guy was from probably Scotland. So anyway, I got to do more walking and less talking, I guess. I keep going. It's hard though. There's so many places with some just phenomenal trees like that one. It's just so cool. Anyway, I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. Well, we have a little pop of color down there in the creek bottom. A little bit of yellow starting to show through. We had a pretty dry year here in California, so I think right now, the estimate was they're at 10% bloom. So it's going to be a pretty poor wildflower season, but take advantage of it when we can. Well, it looks like we have one cloud today. Just the one when I was driving over here. The cloud was a lot bigger. It was sitting right on top of Hot Springs Mountain. And it almost had that look at first glance. It was a lenticular cloud, which is normally an indication of extreme high winds at high altitudes. Well, that peak's not that high. It's only 6,600 feet, but probably be nice up there to get a little bit of shade because I think it's going to get warm today. Daytime high is going to be 75, 80, which is perfect for the spring. It's going to be nice out here. I said that like 10 times already. I just can't get over how nice it is out here. I was hiking down the trail and I was going to sit at the camera for a quick shot. And all of a sudden I heard some noise in the brush. I thought, oh, maybe that's a deer. It's a cow. Just one. And he's hiding in the shade, browsing on some of the grass over there. So I thought that was kind of funny. I thought maybe it was a snake in the bushes near my ankles, or maybe a mountain lion, or maybe even a deer, and it was a cow. Well, as I'm hiking down the Pacific Crest Trail today on this gorgeous day here in early April, thought I'd take a moment and tell you what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing a Columbia Silver Ridge short sleeve shirt thing is phenomenal. It breathes excellent. And it's got a couple of chest pockets for your map or a snack, or reading glasses is what I use it for. Also wearing a kilt today, and we're in the law enforcement memorial kilt from U.S.A. Kilts. And here comes some more Thru Hikers. Well, how's this for a nice little P.C.T. stop, huh? I don't know what this outbuilding is. I went around the other side, it's locked. There's a nice bench over here. I got my camera set up right there. It's a really high bench. It's probably waist high. But how would this be for a P.C.T. overnight campsite? You have a nice little fire ring right there. You got a place to sit. Tons of spots in the shade to set up your tent for the night. And you also have the luxury of water flowing right next to you. This is a great spot. I have to remember this spot. I might have to come up here and do an overnighter here just to hang out here. This is gorgeous right here. Well, isn't this a sweet spot, huh? Yeah, I'm down here along Agua Caliente Creek, and the water's flowing pretty good through here. There's songbirds in the trees and some great spots to set up camp. Phenomenal shade. There's trees if you want to set up a hammock, and it's nice and cool down here. But let's come back here. Check this out. Maybe another time, bring my overnight pack and spend the night down here. It'd be great. That's the one good thing about hiking in with sandals, is if you come to places like this, small little creek crossing, you don't have to worry about getting your shoes wet or your socks wet. Just walk right through. These sandals are awesome for water crossings. Anyway, it's my first time I've had to cross the Agua Caliente Creek. I heard I have a few more to go, so I want to keep going. If you hear a lot of airplane noise today while I'm on this hike, that's because there is an airfield probably less than 5 miles from the trail here, and it's a glider port. So not only do small little Cessnas and little Piper Cub airplanes come and go from that airfield, they also tow gliders up because the thermals are really good here for gliding. So you'll see maybe later if I get a chance, I'll shoot a video of one of the planes towing a glider. Maybe we'll even get to see a glider sailing around the gorgeous meadows up here near Warner Springs. Well, it looks like the scenic waterside part of this adventure has temporarily come to a stop. Crossed over the creek. Now I'm working my way up these dry and much more rockier sections of trail out in the sun, but been told it drops down to the creek several times, so keep my hopes up as the creek is down below me there. In the meantime, I got some great views. I've only been hiking a few minutes along the eastern side of Agua Caliente Creek, and up ahead of me there, that sharp point up that direction is Combs Peak. That's where I was just an episode ago along the P.C.T. just above Lost Valley, and this is where the trail is heading. It's going to go to the right side or the east side of Agua Caliente Creek, and is working its way toward that junction with Lost Valley Road and the trail I took last week to Combs Peak. Well, behind me down there is over toward Lake Henshaw and the Warner Springs Ranch. And way off in the distance, in the background, you can see the Palomar Ridgeline. Just a minute ago, before I rounded this corner, you could actually see High Point Lookout, which is the highest point in the ridgeline. And it looks like I had a southbound P.C.T. Thru hiker coming my way. So maybe I'll get a chance to talk to him. In the meantime, I'm going to be hiking in direct sun. It's going to feel good to be wearing these sunglasses and having a brimmed hat. And at least right here in this spot, there's a nice breeze. Well, as I'm taking a little quick second break here along the trail, you have a good view of the glider port down there in Warner Springs. In fact, the glider that was being pulled is soaring. You won't be able to see him in the video. He's too far away, but he'll be landing down there probably in about 20-30 minutes. In the meantime, that's the entire Palomar Range, and the high point right up there, very tip top, that little nipple on the top there, that's the high point lookout. But we do have a phenomenal view of this whole range of mountains as it works its way up toward Combs Peak. And fortunately, this little section has got some shade. You know, when I read the trail description on all trails before I came out here, so there was 1,300 feet and then some of elevation gain. And I was trying to figure out where that was coming from, because for the most part, it's a creekside hike. And for the first, I don't know, mile or two that I've hiked so far today, it's pretty much been that. But now that I popped out of the creek bed and out to this exposed brush in the direct sun, I've been climbing a little bit. The trail's gotten pretty rocky in spots, but it's manageable even in sandals. But I just passed two more section hikers. They were two older gals actually doing a section hike from Highway 74 by Paradise Cafe down to Warner Springs. They were going southbound. So they were admiring the views on this warm spring day just like me. Said I was the first person they've seen hiking in a kilt. Check this out. It's not quite in bloom, but it's getting there. This is a yucca. The yucca stalks. It flowers in spring, attracts lots of bees, and in this case ants. But it's gorgeous up here. You can see an older dead one back there, but this one's doing really well. Good vapor trail over here. That's the one thing about the desert sections like this. Vapor trails everywhere. You have military jets, you have cargo jets, you have commercial airliners, and because of the dry air out here, they leave lots of vapor trails. So we'll have a lot of those today, I think. There's some more P.C.T. section hikers coming southbound. Sounds like a couple of gals. Maybe they're with the other two. You know, my goal today for this adventure is to stay hydrated. For some reason, I don't ever drink enough while I'm hiking. I think about it occasionally, and when I have water bottles tucked into the side pockets of my pack, I just never get around to stopping, taking it off, taking out my water bottle. It's kind of a pain. If I had longer, skinnier bottles and a bigger pouch to store the water bottles, I would be able to get them while I'm hiking, stay on the move. Like when I hike in the Sierras and I'm carrying my U.S.A. Catalyst pack, I usually use the long, narrow, smart water bottles. I can grab them on the go, or I have them hooked up to my shoulder strap. But on day hikes, I don't think about it, and sometimes you can really get dehydrated, especially out here in the exposed sun in the desert regions where the humidity is very low. But today I brought a hydration bladder, and I have 2 full liters in my pack, along with another liter in the side pocket. That's going to be for my lunch. But I do have 2 liters, and I have a filter. I have a bee-free, Catadine bee-free filter. So when I get down to the water down here on the second dip into the trail, I can top off my water bottles. I also have some Catadine MicroPure tablets, which if I need to for an emergency, I can drop them in. And of course, I also have a stove and a container to boil water. So I have 3 separate ways to filter water in the desert sections, if you can find the water. That's probably the biggest challenge in this environment, is actually finding water. But when you carry 2 liters in your hydration bladder, it doesn't do you much good if you dump out 1.5 liters when you get home. I just never really liked warm, rotten egg, or nasty, tepid water. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Well, way off in the distance, a small plane is towing a glider. If we're lucky, they'll come this direction. I'll get a better shot of it. As another set of P.C.T. Thru Hikers are coming up from behind. Again, I can hear them talking below me. Well, now that we're in the open, exposed shrubs at this elevation, you can see different types of cactus and manzanita that have grown here alongside the trail. Some very large stalks of ribbonwood manzanita along with some red-shank manzanita. And even though it's a stark, arid environment, it does have its moments. It is pretty. There's also some remnants of wild cucumber that have grown wild in the bushes that have died. And it looks like right up here we've got some beaver tail or prickly pear cactus. And even a palm. Well, I've come around a little point on this ridge, and off to my left, down here below me, is the creek. I can hear the water flowing down there. I know there's two creek crossings, one of which, the second one, which is the one I'm coming to now, from what I understand, is about 3 3/4, maybe 4 miles into the trail. So I'll take a break down here and we'll check the map and the GPS and confirm that this is in fact the second crossing. I would imagine it would be. And if so, I'm going to take a break here. Maybe even have my lunch. If the conditions allow and I find suitable trees, maybe I can set up my hammock and I can start heading back. Well, it looks like I've come to this pretty sweet spot in the trail. The creek is just to my left. You can probably hear it down there. Looks like other people have chosen this location. Evidence of a campfire. And it looks like there's a really nice tent pad right there. And the creek itself is just down here. Looks like it's off to my left. So if you needed to filter water here, you could. A nice little spot here along the creek. Perfect spot for a break. You know, I mentioned earlier about the glider plane. It looked like the tow plane just cut loose of the glider, and now the glider is soaring on its own as the glider continues to the east, and the tow plane makes its way back to the port. Well, behind me is this little nice little stream of Agua Caliente Creek as it flows downhill toward Warner Springs. So I'm going to take a break here, just a little bit up there in the shade, and make some lunch. Enjoy my little day hike out here along the Pacific Crest Trail. Well, I'm taking a break along the Agua Caliente Creek here along the P.C.T. You know, I've come across quite a few P.C.T. Thru Hikers today, probably 20, I imagine. Met some really nice folks so far. People from all walks of life and from all locations. And the one thing everybody has in common out here is trail life. You know, to them, the everyday things that kind of stick with us during the day, checking the phone and finding out what's on TV, they don't really matter out here. Out here is, where can I filter some water? Where do I get my resupplies? How do I stay warm at night? Those kind of things are what keep people together out here. You know, everybody has the same common problems. You know, how are my feet doing? Do I have blisters? Am I overheating? Am I too cold? Am I sunburned? Things like that. Or those are the common questions and common problems through hikers have along their way northbound from Mexico to Canada. And for me, I'm just fortunate because I only live about 30 minutes from here. And I can come down here and park my car and bring my little ice chest and hike 4 or 5 miles down the trail to this gorgeous site. And heat up my top ramen and have a beer. So I've talked to quite a few people so far. And the highlight of my day so far was the two older gentlemen that were wearing, actually one older gentleman and one younger guy, father and son, that were hiking along the P.C.T. They were both wearing kilts. So it's the first set of kilted hikers I've seen in a long time. In fact, ever, I think. I don't think I've ever seen a kilted hiker on the trail. So, and the lady that was not really with them, but hiking kind of around them, she was fascinated by the kilts as well. In fact, she was also a female kilted hiker. She has an El Commando hiking kilt from Mountain Hardwear, and she just bought the men's version, and she confirmed what I kind of knew, that it's no longer being made by Mountain Hardwear. So I'm going to have to take really good care of my El Commando hiking kilt. Maybe it'll be worth something one day, who knows. But in the meantime, I'm letting my top ramen, my spicy top ramen, rehydrate. I'm having a agave hazy IPA. I brought an ice pack and a chiller in my backpack, so this is going to be a good refreshing drink out here along the Agua Caliente Creek along the P.C.T. So anyway, cheers. Well, let's check my top ramen here, see if it's hydrated. I think I added a little too much water to this. It's pretty spicy too. It's called spicy beef. I can see why now. Well, as I'm working my way back along the trail here, this section of trail is obviously exposed out in the open, but it's got tremendous views. And some sections along the points of the ridge, you actually get a little bit of a breeze, but it is warming up quite a bit as we're nearing noon. And I've passed two more P.C.T. through hikers, solo female, another guy that was taking a break, impromptu break in the shade. He found a little spot just off the trail next to some manzanita and dropped his pack for a few minutes. I don't blame him, it's warm up here. But I gave him some encouragement and told him, 10 minutes, they'll be at that spot where I took my break, where it was nice and shady and had a good breeze and water was right there. So hopefully that motivated him a little bit. But in the meantime, I got to hump back. I've probably got 2.5 miles maybe to get back to the car. And once I get out of this kind of hotter, more exposed section, I'll be back in the trees and that gorgeous early section of the creek that I just loved. But in the meantime, I got to get through this. The sun and the heat. Well, this is red shank manzanita. It's got smooth trunk and bark. It grows at this elevation. And if you're curious, ribbonwood manzanita is also from the manzanita family. But as you can see, the bark is shredded. Looks a little bit like ribbons, I guess. So this would be Ribbonwood manzanita. Now, way off in the distance, that's Combs Peak right there. And about, maybe a little over halfway up the slope, you can see a horizontal line. That's the trail. Then you see those pine trees that are on the far right-hand edge about 3 o'clock. That's about where you start up the summit ridge to get to the top of Combs Peak. And you see that one rock that's about, 2/3 of the way up the top on the right. That's the crux of the climb, climbing up Combs Peak. That's where I hit kind of some tough spots. And then from there on up, it really wasn't that bad. But I got a good view from it from here along the P.C.T, along the Agua Caliente Trail. Well, looks like I've got some company along the trail today. A couple of friends hanging out. He's sizing me up here.
Where's your partner? One more of them somewhere around here.
Isn't this a gorgeous day to be out here? This is nice. You know, usually when you're heading back from a day hike and you're getting nearer the car, you just can't wait, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so hot, I'm so exhausted. And that's not the case here today. I'm actually kind of sad the hike is nearing its end. I've had some tremendous views. I've had some great people. And this is a little steep section here. I remember this one. But the weather has been just stunning. And here comes some more hikers. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Hiking Journal, my solo hike on the Pacific Crest Trail along Agua Caliente Creek near Warner Springs. In the next edition, I'll head back up the mountain into mountain lion country, off Ortega Highway and the Morgan Trail to San Mateo Peak. That'll be coming up next. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you next time. Oh, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. Alrighty, we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.